Welcome to BNEWS Weekly. I'm Phil Gallagher along with BNEWS Director Rich Hosford, BNEWS reporters Robert Paris, Maddie Shipka, Peter Brown with the weather, and Matt DiMarzio with sports. Thank you for joining us. A proposed wireless signal booster project that had drawn some tough questions was pulled last night from the Board of Selectmen's agenda. Verizon Wireless Representative Attorney Daniel Klasnick said his client would rather pull the project for 7 small cell boosters planned for telephone poles around town than face a fee that was a condition being discussed by members of the Board of Selectmen. As reported on BNews, the proposal from Verizon was brought up in a public hearing back in August. Klasnick said the small cells are necessary to cover gaps in wireless coverage that develop as more people and businesses use the system. The devices are placed on telephone poles, street lamps, and similar structures to boost the signal output by traditional cell towers. A large number of unanswered questions about the devices prompted selectmen to form a committee tasked with examining the need for small cells, coming up with a policy for new applicants, and studying possible aesthetic and health effects of the technology. This week, Selectman James Tigas, the board's representative on the Small Cells Committee, said the group had come up with a new policy for small cell applications. The policy contains a number of provisions while filing an application, including setting installation fees, listing the town department that must receive a copy for review, and setting up the timeline for approval. The Verizon application, however, would not be subject to the policy because it was submitted before its adoption. However, Tigas and the committee did have a number of conditions for the project it recommended to the board. They included no equipment on double poles, an agreement to annual recertification, equipment shall be located on top of the poles, colored similarly to the poles so as to blend in, equipment shall not interfere with other equipment on the pole, nor obstruct or interfere with access to or operation of streetlights or traffic control devices on the poles. Klasnick said some of those conditions could be met, at least in part. None of the proposed small cell boosters were planned for double poles, and at least parts of the devices could be painted, though some parts could not. His biggest concern was the annual recertification, which came with a fee, or what he called a tax. He said that was not acceptable to Verizon, as it could set up a precedent for other communities, and he questioned its legality under federal law, federal communications law. Still, members of the board said they were leaning towards requiring the recertification and associated fee as a condition of approval. Before they could take that vote, Klasnick intervened. Let's take a look.
If I may then, Mr. Chairman, my client would rather, I respectfully request to withdraw the petitions rather than allow the imposition of what we feel is an unlawful fee. Okay. So I would request, if the board's will is to move forward with those conditions, particularly the recertification fee, that the applicant be given the opportunity just to withdraw the petition, and that be the motion that the board consider.
Board members agreed to the withdrawal, and the matter was closed for the time being. This may prove to be a rather short-sighted policy by the town, since small cells are likely to be an integral part of the creation of the next generation of communications, which is wireless communications, which is the 5G network. However, in related news, Cece Doucette, Communications Director for Wireless Education, gave a talk at the Burlington Public Library about her research into the health dangers posed by wireless technology and the associated electromagnetic fields, which people have a concern about. BNews Director Rich Hosford went to check it out and has this report.
They are everywhere, in our homes, in our businesses, and even in our pockets. Wireless antennae putting off electromagnetic fields. They have been woven into the fabric of our lives, but one woman is trying to get people to step back and reconsider whether that is a good idea. Cece Doucette, Communications Director of the organization Wireless Education, said she has been researching the effects of wireless technology on health since 2013. A science writer by trade, she was working in Ashland Public Schools and was actually in charge of installing wireless systems for devices used by students. Since that time, she reversed course and convinced Ashland schools to do the same. Now she's taking that message both to the State House with a number of House and Senate bills and to the public, where she gives a talk about her research. She says there are a lot of potential dangers from wireless technology and the associated electromagnetic fields most people have never heard about.
Yeah, in a nutshell, the science is showing a host of different things. It's causing neurological issues, it's tied into fertility, infertility. miscarriages. It's causing oxidative stress, which creates this whole domino effect in our systems, and it's tying into early onset Alzheimer's, the social and emotional issues. It's hitting our central nervous system and our children especially hard, suicidal ideation. We have more people being hospitalized for all of these neurological issues that we never had in our society before. So the message is to just let people know that you can have all the technology you think you need, but hardwire it and turn off the wireless signals.
Doucette says she isn't only talking the talk, but has taken steps in her own household to remove wireless technology in exchange for hardwired devices.
My husband came home with a new television, and I saw a Wi-Fi signal on the box, and the poor guy had already mounted it up when I walked in, and I said, "Sweetie, can that be hardwired?" And it couldn't. So we put it back in the box, took it back to the store, and then bought another TV that had an Ethernet jack in the back, because, you know, we use Netflix and stuff. And so the signal runs through the Ethernet cable right into the television, and we just go into the settings and turn the wireless antennas off. And then you have perfectly safe technology.
Finally, Doucette says she hopes people who watch her talk feel empowered to make changes in their own lives and at the local level.
My hope is to give people enough information that they feel empowered to start this conversation with their loved ones, their colleagues, their towns, and their state and federal legislators, because nobody knows this issue exists. And with very simple steps, we can all start using technology more safely and give the industry a nudge so that they will bring actual biologically safe technology to market. My advice is to start talking with your town and go to meetings and make a presence, because typically when the public gets educated on this, the industry starts to back away.
For more information about Doucette's research, visit www.wirelesseducation.org. Also, her full talk at the Burlington Public Library can be found on our site at bcattv.org. At the Burlington Public Library, I'm BNEWS Director Rich Hosford.
A man who worked diligently to protect Burlington and its residents has passed away. Eugene Gene R. Knowles of Burlington died surrounded by family on October 20th. Gene was a retired Burlington police officer who attained the rank of sergeant and detective. Very early in his career, some 50 years ago, he often drove the ambulance and later did crime photography for the department. Although normally the job of higher ranks, Gene prosecuted police cases in the court in Woburn for a number of years, acting as an acting lieutenant. He was also known as Mr. Fix-It for his friends and family and was an adept carpenter. He enjoyed riding his large Indian motorcycle until he had to give it up to have more time with his 11 children and beloved wife, Jean. On the subject of honoring those who have passed away after a lifetime of service to the town, we have a couple of clips of members of the Board of Selectmen and School Committee honoring the late Virginia Mooney, who passed away 2 weeks ago. Virginia was a longtime town meeting member, former selectman, and a woman who tirelessly strove to serve the Burlington community. Let's have a look.
She was a perennial candidate for the Board of Selectmen. She served on the Board of Selectmen for 3 years, I believe. And she was somebody that cared, which that is something that I don't think was lost on any of us. And it's something that I wish a lot of people would pay attention to in terms of their desire to get involved. So again, just sort of remembering Virginia and thanking her publicly for her service to the town and extending the board's condolences to her family.
She was always so polite, so professional, yet had such wonderful views and important views, and she could share them in the nicest way with you and really have a kind dialogue. And reading through, there was just this one sentence that I saw, and I just wanted to share it before we start on, because I do think it captured the relationship that I saw with her and other people and myself. Virginia was a strong role model for all her family, and she has left her heart print not only on her family, but the town of Burlington. And our thoughts go out with her family at this time, and we are very grateful that she was part of our town, community member, and we had so much time with her.
Just a wonderful woman. You know, even if you didn't agree with her all the time, it was always with a smile on your face. You know, she would love to talk about town politics, and she devoted so much of her life to the town of Burlington because she loved it and she wanted to preserve it. So, just a great woman, a big loss for the community, and I just want to extend my condolences to her family.
A project for a new restaurant looking to set up in the former Chili's location got one step closer to completion on Monday. The Burlington Board of Selectmen voted 4-0 to approve the transfer of an all-alcohol liquor license from Chili's Grill and Dining to the Yard House USA for the incoming Yard House restaurant. Yard House, founded in 1996, is an American sports bar chain with over 60 locations in the country, the majority of which can be found in the western part of the nation. More recently, East Coast locations have been opened, including one in Legacy Place in Denham. During the meeting, Attorney Joseph Devlin, representing Yard House, said the plan calls for the complete teardown of the existing Chili's building and the building of a new, roughly 10,000 square foot restaurant at a cost of about $13 million. That means we'll be taxing them at more higher levels. The restaurant will seat over 200 people inside, with another 100 patio seats when the weather allows. He said the menu is a fusion of American, Asian, and Mexican selections, and the price range of the restaurant is somewhere between a fast casual restaurant and a high-end establishment. The selectmen wanted to ensure that the restaurant management was aware of Burlington's bylaws on alcohol service, that is, in service of eating, and no customers can be served more than 2 drinks without ordering food. David Campo, who will be the interim manager of record for the restaurant during the opening, said he understood. Devlin said construction on the site should start in the spring of 2019, and the restaurant will likely be open by later in the year or early 2020. In similar news, a new high-end Indian restaurant is looking to open up in Burlington, and this week achieved a big step in that goal. On Monday night, the Board of Selectmen approved a transfer of the all-alcohol license previously used by the Bonefish Grill in the Wayside Plaza to a new restaurant called The Treasury, which plans to open in the same location. Attorney Daniel Wilson, representing the new restaurant, said the Treasury would be a fine dining Indian restaurant with 120 seats inside with additional 24 patio seats. He said there would be some internal renovations done to the kitchen and dining areas, but no significant structural changes. The biggest alteration, he said, would be to remove the existing revolving door and replace it with a regular swinging door that would be opening into a vestibule where diners would be greeted by staff. One of the restaurant owners, Prakash Kott, said a lot of thought and time had put into all aspects of the restaurant, including the name. The name Treasury has its origin in the Urdu word khazana, which means any precious thing that is found in the world and is otherwise hidden and the owner is not known. Kott said the food represents the journey of the chef they have hired to come up with the menu for the restaurant. He said the chef spent the last 30 years visiting chefs and restaurants all over the world, including the Middle East, Asia, and Europe. The restaurant will feature items cooked on a griddle, an open barbecue, a stone cooking pot, and traditional clay ovens. Kott added that the restaurant will serve premium liquor and wine selections to be paired with the food. Members of the board said they were happy to grant the transfer of the liquor license. The only concern raised from the staff report was one from the building department, who wanted to ensure the patio had a safety barrier and a one-way door so diners would have to enter through the main entrance rather than directly onto the patio. Wilson said that would not be a problem. When asked about the timeline, Wilson said they hope to start renovations in January and open sometime in the spring. Samaritans of Boston held a discussion at Grandview Farm to talk about the topic of suicide and suicide prevention for members of the Burlington Volunteer Reserve Corps. BNEWS reporter Robert Parrish was there and has this look.
Volunteers of the Burlington Reserve Corps attended a special meeting about a serious topic that is ongoing in the world and our country. This past Wednesday night, Samaritans of Boston held a discussion at the Grandview Farm about the topic of suicide and suicide prevention.
So the presentation tonight was for the Burlington Volunteer Reserve Corps to sort of give them basic training on suicide prevention. And I know a lot of the volunteers here are working in many different capacities, but trying to help them to understand a little bit about suicide, what might lead someone to that point, and then how to talk to someone, how to get them help if maybe they are presenting as feeling suicidal.
Samaritans is a small organization located in Boston that provides suicide interventions through their 24/7 helpline and lend aid and support to individuals who have lost a loved one to suicide.
So Samaritans is a nonprofit, non-denominational organization. We're located here in Boston, and we have 3 services. We have our 24/7 helpline, which I mentioned. We have our prevention, which is our outreach and education. That's what I do. So I go into middle schools, high schools, senior centers, nonprofits, law firms, talk about this. And then we have grief support services, which is for people who have lost someone to suicide.
If you know someone who is feeling this way, or may know someone who has been through this, you can help them by calling Samaritans.
We have a lot of information on our website. It's www.samaritans.hope.org. That's one word, samaritans.hope.org. And our helpline is available 24/7 by call or text. The number is 1-877-870-HOPE.
Finally, suicide is never a joking matter, so take some time to check in on your friend or loved one and see how they are doing.
I hope that the participants of tonight's presentation feel a little more empowered to maybe ask somebody directly in their life, whether it's in the context of being a volunteer, within their jobs, within their personal life, their families, their relationships, open up a conversation if they are seeing those warning signs. And, you know, we often feel nervous when these situations arrive, and that's normal, but I hope they'll feel a little more comfortable talking about it, and then having a community resource that they can reach out to for themselves if they're struggling, or if it's on behalf of someone else in their life that they're worried about. So it's trying to open up conversation and break down stigma and break down those barriers.
From Grandview Farm, I'm Robert Paris for BNEWS Weekly.
The Mass State Police will once again be on the lookout for intoxicated drivers. According to State Police, they will hold a sobriety checkpoint somewhere in Middlesex County on Saturday, November 3rd into Sunday, November 4th. Colonel Kerry A. Gilpin, Superintendent of the Mass State Police, said the purpose is to further educate the motoring public and strengthen the public's awareness to the need of detecting and removing those motorists who operate under the influence of alcohol and or drugs from our roadways. Colonel Gilpin added that the checkpoint will be operated during varied hours. The selection of vehicles will not be arbitrary, safety will be assured, and any inconvenience to motorists will be minimized with advance notice to reduce fear and anxiety. There were food trucks aplenty on the town common Saturday, October 20th for the Parks and Recreation's 2nd annual Trucktober. The event became a regular part of the Parks and Rec calendar after debuting last year as a special event for the 50th anniversary of the department. BNews reporter Maddie Shipka has this look at the event.
Hi, I'm Maddie Shipka here with my fellow BNews Weekly reporter Christopher Flaherty, and we're here to check out the 2nd annual Trucktober. This was put on last year by the Parks and Recreation Department for their 50th anniversary, and it was so popular that they brought it back for another year.
Last year it was very successful. It was something that we brought on for the 50th anniversary, and it really had a good turnout. We had a great day for it, so we said, you know what, let's add this to our new lineup of special events. So the staff started working on it in the summer, putting out feelers to food trucks. We have some that are already registered to do food service here in Burlington on trucks. Then we reached out to other ones that weren't, that were in the surrounding towns. They have to register through the Board of Health, and they have to do their background checks with the police department. So a lot of work both on our end, but also the vendor's end. Today we have chicken on the robe, we have kebabish, we have capriati's, and then we have Alex ice cream. So there's a good mix of trucks, different styles of food, and we try to keep it fresh for everyone.
Be sure to stay tuned for our full coverage of Trucktober 2018. Until next time, I'm Maddie Shipka for BNews Weekly.
In our continuing effort to educate the public on these scams, which seem to be popping up every single day, a new one, we have this for you. If you get a call, email, or a letter demanding or trying to convince you to send the information on a gift card, you are being scammed. The FTC said that a new study shows that scammers demanding payment by gift card is up 270% from 2015. Gift cards are for gifts, not for payments, the FTC says. If someone calls with urgent news or a convincing story and then pressures you to pay them by buying a gift card, like an iTunes or Google Play card, and then giving them the codes on the back of the card, stop. It's a scam. The way scammers try and get people to send them gift information varies, card information. The FTC says they might pose as IRS officials and say you're in trouble for not paying taxes, or a family member with an emergency overseas, or a public utility company threatening to shut off your water, or even a service member selling something before deployment. Or they might call with news that you won a contest or a prize, but to get it you need to pay fees with a gift card. Scammers will say anything to get your money, and they know how to play into your fears, hopes, or sympathies. They like gift cards because once they get the code on the back, the money is gone and almost impossible to trace. But knowing how these scams work can help you avoid them, and you can help even more by passing on the information to people you know, particularly the elderly who may be more susceptible to these scams. If you paid a scammer with a gift card, report it as soon as possible. Call the card company and tell them the gift card was used as a scam. Halloween can be a hit or a miss in terms of weather. To see what's in store for the week ahead and whether Burlington kids will have to cover their costumes with raincoats or winter jackets, we go now to BNEWS meteorologist Peter Brown in our Weather Center for the latest forecast. We'll also check out the community calendar with Maddie Shipka to see what's happening in and around Burlington.
Well, hello everyone, and this is Peter Brown with a look at your weather for the next 7 days. And here we are, it's hard to believe that we're starting out looking at the very tail end of October, and we're going to start out our period. Again, very chilly around here in the Burlington area, very similar to what we've been seeing the past couple of weeks. Look at this starting out on Friday. Our high temperatures are only supposed to be in the mid-40s, so a real chilly feel out there with a strong breeze starting to develop, especially getting into the afternoon. And look at that. That is well below what our average highs at this time of the year. We're supposed to still be up near 60, and we're not really going to be seeing too much of that as we go through the next 7 days. And look at this, as we end out our period, look at this, November 1st already. Hard to believe that time has gone so fast since the end of summer. Now, that time of the year, we're supposed to be seeing temperatures in the mid-50s and, of course, our lows in the mid-30s, so getting pretty chilly out there. And we're going to see temperatures that might actually be moderating up towards that, so maybe a little bit of milder weather as we head towards the end of the period. But of course, as you notice, the days keep getting shorter and shorter, and that is going to be continuing for the next really 7 or 8 weeks until we get to the middle of December. Now, as we go ahead, I'm going to show you a little bit about what's going to be going on with our weather for the next 7 days. Now, the big weather maker coming up, especially going into this weekend, is going to be this very powerful nor'easter. Yes, nor'easter looks like the first one of the season, and this one's going to be a pretty powerful one. This is actually the remains of Hurricane Willa that hit Mexico a couple of days ago as a powerful Category 3 hurricane. Its remnants have come all the way over here to the eastern seaboard, and this is going to develop into a pretty strong nor'easter for us here in the Burlington area, and also most of New England, in fact. Now, if you notice up here on the northwestern side of the storm, I've put a couple of mixes in here with some snowflakes. If this storm does get up here fast enough going into early Saturday morning, there is a chance if you are out in the early morning hours of Saturday, you could see a couple of snow flurries even here in the Burlington area mixing in with the raindrops. But as the storm starts to move up, it's going to move up due north over us, and it's going to start to bring some warm air into the area. So any small bits of flurries that you might see in our area are going to quickly disappear as we go into Saturday during the day. But that is then going to bring in some heavy, heavy rain into our area, maybe on the order of maybe 1.5, 2 inches of rain in the Burlington area, with wind gusts maybe over 40 miles an hour. So we have to keep an eye on the trees as they still have a lot of leaves on them. Have to make sure that we don't have too much tree damage or any power lines coming down. However, though, after this nor'easter gets out of here on Sunday, look at the weather out to the west of us. Beautiful skies. That's going to be moving in with new high pressure from Canada, and that's going to bring us, again, some chilly weather, but some real beautiful skies, especially as we head in towards Halloween and towards the end of the period. So as we go ahead, let's take a look at some of those temperatures and weather coming up for this next 7 days. And again, starting our period on Friday, we're going to see fair skies, so very nice looking out there, but there's going to definitely be a chill to the air with temperatures only in the mid-40s, probably wind chills not getting out of the lower 30s. And of course, those morning lows getting into Saturday morning, that's where we may see the chance of maybe a little bit of light mixed precipitation at the very onset of the storm on Saturday, but that's going to quickly transition over to a very cold, heavy rain with lots of strong winds from the northeast, again, maybe 30 to 40 miles an hour. Now, as we get into Sunday, we might have to actually tweak these numbers up a little bit. Looks like a little bit more in terms of warmer weather is going to get in here to Sunday. And maybe this rain may be confined to maybe the early morning hours, and we may see some sunny breaks coming out with temperatures getting up maybe as high as the mid to upper 50s on Sunday afternoon. So a little bit of something to look forward to on the second half of the weekend. Now getting in here into Monday and Tuesday, looks like the chances of showers have diminished quite a bit here in the Burlington area. So we're really probably being a little bit liberal in terms of our rainfall on Monday and Tuesday. But again, look at this. Temperatures, again, pretty cool as we get into Tuesday, only in the upper 40s. But look at this. As we get into Wednesday, into Halloween, looks like we're going to have some beautiful skies for the trick-or-treaters out there in the Burlington area. Now, looking at the latest models, looks like the cold air isn't going to be quite as strong as we thought it was going to be when we made our forecast. So we may have to up these temperatures into the middle 50s, and maybe even by Thursday, we may actually be seeing temperatures again up near maybe 55 or 56. So definitely kicking some of this earlier colder air that we thought was coming in out of here. So everyone, get out there, enjoy the week, and have a happy Halloween.
I'm Maddie Shipka, and this is your Community Calendar. You never know what you might find at this year's book sale. On Friday, November 2nd through Sunday, November 4th, the Burlington Public Library will be having their annual fall book sale. Come and shop for thousands of used and new books, audiobooks, and much more. Everyone is welcome, and don't forget to bring your money. For more information about the sale and start times, visit burlington.org or call 781-270-1690. The Burlington Players are back. From November 2nd through the 11th, the Burlington Players will be having their upcoming fall production of Women in Jeopardy! By Wendy McLeod. In the play, Mary and Joe are suspicious of their friend, Liz's new boyfriend. He's not just a dentist. He might be a serial killer. Trading their wine glasses for spyglasses, imaginations run wild as Mary and Joe try to discover the truth and save their friend in this hilarious adventure. Everyone is welcome. For tickets and showtimes, visit burlingtonplayers.com or call 781-229-2649. Come and enjoy a fun-filled day devoted to fall. On Saturday, November 3rd, from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m., the United States Church of Christ Congregational in Burlington will be having a family fall fair. Enjoy the festivities of fall with crafts, baked goods, kids' activities, and much more. There will also be a dinner and a silent auction from 6 to 9 p.m. that evening. For more information about the fall fair and to buy tickets for the dinner, call the church office at 781-272-4547. I'm Maddie Shipka, and this is your Community Calendar.
Welcome back. We go now to BNews sports reporter Matt DiMarzio for the latest Red Devils action with this week's sports report.
Hey everyone, this is Matt DiMarzio here for a weekly sports report. The Burlington Red Devils had their last regular season game at home last week against the Melrose Red Raiders. We have some highlights. Let's check them out.
Last Friday night, the Burlington Red Devils held their last regular season game at home against the Melrose Red Raiders. To start off the first quarter, quarterback Kyle Pena handed it off to running back Jake Doherty, who led the way into the end zone for a Red Devils touchdown. Melrose would quickly answer back with 2 touchdowns made by the running back and quarterback. Now late in the second, Pena found a wide open Paddle-Howard who went into the end zone for a Red Devils touchdown to tie the game. In the third quarter, when the game was all tied up, Melrose quarterback Jesse Gardner handed it off to running back Christopher Cusalito for a Red Raider touchdown. Melrose would answer again with their middle linebacker taking position as running back and led the way into the end zone for another Red Raider touchdown. Later on, Burlington got the opportunity for Jake Doherty to run it into the end zone for another Red Devils touchdown. Melrose in possession, Gardner handed it off to Chris Cusalito, who was strip sacked by Jake McCauley and ran it all the way back into the end zone for a Red Devil touchdown.
What's going on here? Ooh, nice.
Red Raiders are knocking on the door in the red zone as Gardner handed it off to running back Kevin Peedy, who gave the Raiders the lead again. Next, Burlington possession, Kyle Pena would throw a pass to Jake McCauley, who took it all the way into the end zone for a Red Devils touchdown. The Red Raiders would get another touchdown, ending the game with a final of 41-33 Melrose. The Burlington Red Devils will be playing the Wayland Warriors in a playoff game at home on Friday night at 7 p.m.
It's an exciting time for high school sports as the football playoffs begin this weekend, and the rest of the playoffs start next week. At Burlington High, both the football and volleyball teams will be competing for state championships. The football playoffs begin Friday night, and the Red Devils will play a home game against Wayland beginning at 7 p.m. For the team to host a playoff game less than a year after finishing 1-10 is quite a testament to the team and its coaching staff. Head to Varsity Field if you have Friday night free and watch the Devils in action. The volleyball team will likely begin its playoff run next Thursday. The girls finished the season with a 13-7 record and finished just behind Melrose in the Freedom Division standings. In the final match of the regular season, Burlington lost to Melrose by a 3-2 score in a thrilling match. The Red Devil golfers wrapped up their season on Tuesday and enjoyed another solid season under coach Bob Conceition. Burlington qualified for the Division II North tournament and finished 7th overall. The top player on the team, Sean Hurley, finished his terrific career with a round of 77, almost advancing to the state finals. Hurley and the Devils won the Middlesex League shootout earlier in the season, and the first time that the team has ever won both the team and individual championship at the event. The cross-country teams will compete in their postseason meets soon. Watch next week's BCAT Sports Report for more information on those races. And that is all for your weekly sports report. I'm Matt DiMarzio, and we'll send it back to you guys in the studio.
Another week, another photo to highlight. This week we have a gaggle of turkeys being goggled by a group of children. It was sent in by Rabbi Susan Abramson and shows students of the Temple Shalom Emeth Religious School watching some turkeys that came in for a visit. It's hard to say the birds were interested in joining the class or were early trick-or-treaters or were just passing by, but they might want to go into hiding before Halloween gives way to Thanksgiving. Thanks for the photo, Susan. We'd like to see your photos. They could be of something you see around town, the weather outside your own door, or photos of your family members, friends, and pets. Whatever you think is interesting and would like to share with us and with the community. Email your photos to bcat@bcattv.org with the subject line Photo of the Week. Okay, that's it from the news desk here at BNEWS Weekly. I'm Phil Gallagher along with Rich Hosford, Robert Paris, Maddie Shipka, Peter Brown with the weather, and Matt DiMarzio with sports. Thank you for joining us.